So today I'm going to be talking to you all about cravings, why we get cravings, and what tends to be the number one reason as to why we suffer with craving sugar for the most part. So the number one issue with cravings tends to be hormone balancing and unbalanced blood sugars. These tend to be the main causes for cravings, especially for sugary based and refined foods. So hormone balancing normally is what happens when our food isn't as balanced as it should be. So we're not getting in enough good variety of good carbohydrate sources, good fats, good proteins, and this can cause our hormones to become unbalanced and cause us to crave certain foods. Most of the foods that people tend to crave tend to be the refined and sugary foods, and also people tend to find that the more they eat them, the more they crave them because our taste receptors start to get a bit more excited. People tend to find that they crave the more sugary foods the more they eat them. So we see it quite a lot, especially within the Western diet, that there's a lot of high and refined sugary foods within the diet, and also just generally quite a lot of carbohydrates. Most of which at the moment, unfortunately, is always going to be highly refined. So for breakfast, it's easily either toast, crumpets, oats for breakfast, especially as we're in our winter months now. Going for lunch, it's really easy just to pop down to Tesco's, grab a meal deal, for example, either having a wrap or sandwich with some crisps and a drink. Really easy to do, and really easy to get into that kind of into that kind of routine with it and not even think twice about grabbing it. And then dinners, again, whether it be pastas, breads, potatoes, it's really easy once again to get into a habit of having quite a highly refined carbohydrate based dinner, especially when we're using white flours as well. It becomes very easy. So before you know, you've got quite a highly refined diet, high wheat based diet and high gluten based diet. And that in itself has its own issues. So the problem of having too many carbohydrates, and more specifically refined carbohydrates, so you're talking about sugars from drinks, for example, so fizzy drinks, you've got crisps, you've got biscuits, you've got cakes, all the naughties that basically everyone loves. Those are the foods that unfortunately are going to be having the highest sugar content levels, and the more you eat them, most people tend to find the more they crave them. So it is about kind of turning off that cycle and preventing yourself from getting into a bad routine with allowing yourself to just pick them up and grab them whenever you want. What can we do then to get rid of those cravings with regards to our food? So the main thing is to make sure that we're getting in a good variety of carbohydrates, of good fats and good protein sources. So good carbohydrate sources, we're talking about using rice flour as a main alternative, so using rice noodles, using rice itself. They're both great alternatives rather than egg noodles because they can, again, because of the wheat, can become more highly refined. White breads, we want to try to use more whole grain based foods, and then using your vegetables. People forget about getting in their veg. The guidelines are to say 5 a day, but actually they've done more studies to show that it should be more around 10 a day for women and 13 a day for men. I'd say 10, 9 for women, 13 for men. With the 9, it's supposed to be 7 from vegetables and 2 from fruit. And again, with the men, exactly the same, 11 from veg, 2 from fruit. And most people aren't even hitting the 5 a day. So they haven't even, released those numbers because it would just scare people off, because they just think, wow, I can't even get 5, let alone 9. So it's really important to try to maximise and try to get in as many vegetables as possible, both in lunch and dinner. If you think of your fist being one portion, you're trying to make sure that you're getting at least 3 to 4 of those per meal. So half your plate is full of vegetables, and you've got your good proteins and fats, and then a small portion of your carbohydrates. So whether you're using rice, whether you're using, you want to use chickpeas if you're vegetarian, for example. And again, the use of legumes, chickpeas and lentils, again, really underutilized, really underused. And again, using beans as well, especially for those who are vegetarian, trying to get out of the habit of using so many carbohydrates and really trying to up your protein sources by using these is going to be a great way for you to not only get in a good carbohydrate source, but also a good protein source, because they are quite high in both macronutrients. 5 top tips then. So number 1 is increase your water intake. You really need to make sure you're utilizing water. We forget about it. A lot of people are drinking teas, are drinking coffees. We need to really make sure that we're getting in as much water as possible. Again, now that it's getting colder, use herbal teas. Really experiment with different ones, see which ones you like. There's so many different ones available now. So really trying to hit between that 2 to 3 litres of water per day. Even if you need to write on your bottle, for example, and you can write different times on there as well, and try to say, right, by 1 o'clock I want to be by there, by 3 o'clock I want to be there, by 6 o'clock I need to be there, by 9 o'clock that bottle needs to be finished, for example. So that's number 1. Number 2, we need to make sure that half our plate is veggies. Really, really important. So making, like I just said previously, half the plate is veggies, small amount or a decent amount of your proteins and your good fats. So whether or not you're using fish, you're using meats, you're using avocado, different oils, nuts and seeds, these need to have a primary place on your plate. And then you've got your carbohydrate source, so whether you're using rice, whether or not you want to try rice flour based pastas, quinoa, again, really, really important and a great one to get in, because again, it's high in protein, so you're getting good protein sources and good carbohydrate sources at the same time. Number 3, we really want to make sure that we're reducing the amount of processed and refined foods within the diet. So making sure that we're not getting in quite so much, you're taking out all of the, the evening snacks, for example. So if you're quite a lover of your chocolate or your sweets in the evenings, or a slice of cake after dinner, really trying to take that out where possible, so you're not having those all the time. And then number 4, we really want to make sure that we're getting plenty of fats and proteins for breakfast. So whether or not you're doing eggs for breakfast, you could do an omelette if you've got a bit more time. Eggs, smoked salmon with some avocados, perfect for breakfast. Or you could do egg muffins. Again, they're really nice. All you've got to do is put in your onions, your peppers, some bacon or turkey bacon, for example, crack an egg in each one in the little fairy cups. And again, just bake those for 15 minutes or until they've gone a bit golden. And again, they're really easy and things that you can take on the go. And then lastly, what we need to do is just make sure you're getting plenty of good fats and proteins. Making sure that you're having good snacks throughout the day, so utilizing nuts and seeds with a piece of fruit, for example, using hummus as a snack, guacamole as a snack with some oatcakes, or some veg sticks. These are all going to be really important to try to get in as much as possible, and gives your body a bit of an alternative rather than just the easy way out. I hope that helps.